Hello. Welcome back to Ton Real Talk. Today, we're talking about what real growth in the US actually looks like. Not just impressions or hype, but the kind of growth that turns into builders, products, partnerships, and repeatable momentum. The US is a huge market with its own unique mix, major capital flows, high expectations, and very fast moving narratives. It remains one of the most influential environments in crypto, especially from an institutional standpoint. At the same time, the builder race is global. While developer talent is becoming more distributed, the US still plays a critical role as a hub for early stage innovation and ecosystem building, which means we're competing on execution for talent and mindshare. So today is about execution, what it takes to turn distribution into durable adoption, and how we build an ecosystem flywheel in the US, because I'm a big fan of the flywheel. Today, I'm joined by Ankit, general partner at Not Alone, along with their founding partner, Clement Chaikov. These guys are known for being close to the work, supporting ecosystems and founders with real execution. On their end, they describe themselves as a collective of investors, builders, and creators focused on shipping and enabling adoption. Not Alone is positioned as an execution-first collective, combining investing and hands-on growth support for Web3 and AI teams, more in the trenches than a traditional advisory model, which I like. Welcome to both of you, and thank you for joining Ton Real Talk. I would love for you both to come up and introduce yourselves before we jump in.
Cool. Thanks so much for the warm intro, and thanks again for inviting us to and giving us this opportunity to speak about what we do and how we can help builders in the US. About me, I'm one of the founding partners at Not Alone, and before this, I've been in the trenches in crypto, helping a lot of other ecosystems grow in multiple different regions. And before that, I was an entrepreneur. I still am an entrepreneur, and have helped build big Web2 companies. And in crypto, I think we are also right now looking more Web2-ish in the near future. So I'm going to use those learnings to, make crypto great again. I know people in the US will hate this, but yeah, let it be.
Love it. Thank you. Clement, how about you?
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So I'm on the same side with Ankit. Thank you, Angela, for having us, for giving this opportunity. Super excited to join and chat about and share what we've seen, learn something from you, right, and have fun. Step back, bit about myself, right? One of the founder, Clement here, one of the founding partners at Not Alone Ventures. Had a pleasure to run a lot of growth experiments, community experiments, and of different sorts and models in the past 5 years in the space, from different angles and perspectives, from the products and different niches, and down to the ecosystem level, right? That's where it was the most productive and in a recent career path, not entrepreneurial path, but the career path. At Definite Foundation, right, where we spin off a bunch of assumptions and follow-on experiments and growth and scaling all of that. And through that, had a pleasure to meet and connect with the amazing operators across 30 countries, and that helped us to build the distribution and validation points on data that's needed to see what are the trends, what are the optimal models to support builders and entrepreneurs really in the space. Because excited to chat about that difference, because I think we in Web3 we forgot a lot that the projects and all are meant to be like kind of businesses after all. Actually, yeah. But that's me for now. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, really well said. So I'd love for you guys to take a minute on two things. First, what problem is Not Alone actually trying to solve in the market? And second, what are one or two examples of the kind of ecosystem growth work that you're most proud of, so that the audience really understands how you guys are thinking and operating?
Yeah, okay. So to answer your first question around what not actually is, so a bit building upon what Clement said, right? So, me, Clement, Shashi, the other, founding partner, we have had experiences of working across various different geographies, and each geography comes with its own weaknesses and strengths, right? And people don't understand that, and what they do is, kind of just copy paste the model that has worked in, let's say, US to India, or what has worked in India to UAE, right? For an example. So what we are doing at Not Alone is basically, kind of bringing the operating experience that we had, and that we're still kind of building on top of, and share that with the companies that we work with, ecosystems that we work with, right? That's one of the big value adds uh, that we can give, to an ecosystem, to a project. So basically, we say, like, theoretically, or let's say, vision wise, we deploy various forms of capital. It's not like, when we say capital, we don't just mean money. It means, like, experience capital, intelligence capital, who not to work with capital, all of that, right? So that's what Not Alone is. uh, in terms of the ecosystem work, or the growth work, that I have been most proud of is, I was one of the first guys who actually helped Stellar expand into Asia, and I'm proud about that. Stellar, it was almost 2.5 years back, where we took it to Asia, India, and now it's like we are also, working with them to kind of help expand, more. But that has been one of the uh, biggest, achievements, I would say. Uh, Also because when we started working with them, they had like so much friction to kind of onboard builders into the ecosystem, like from a different language, from a different architecture. It's a very different world, right? And somehow through that journey, we were able to achieve some great results. And we did a lot of experiments. We failed a lot, and yeah, that was one of the best experiences in kind of helping an ecosystem grow.
You learn a lot when you fail a lot, right? Honestly, some of my failures in my entrepreneurial career have been my greatest successes. So I like that part.
Yep.
So let's start practical. When people say we're growing in the US, that can mean a lot of things. For Tan, I want to get really crisp on what counts as traction and what is just noise. So let's define success. If you guys had to pick 3 to 5 signals you trust, what are they? And where do you draw the line between awareness and adoption?
Ooh, you're pulling our legs here, left, right, and center. Okay, let's digest one at a time, right? One bite at a time. So, adoption in US for the projects, right? What would make sense? What metrics? Um, like probably there's no metric that matters unless people know about you, right? You can come up and say, hey, we've got millions of users, or hey, we've got millions in TVL locked, right? Or whatever the metric you can think of, unless they're users, or like power users, ideally, right? That then know about you in the space, in different city chapters, right? Pockets of Web3 communities, and or like stakeholders that are important for your project success, right? Then it all doesn't really matter. Right? Unless you have the integration points. As for the projects, that's what I humbly think, right? Um, um, then Ankit, plug in. What
Yeah.
will
Okay.
also this?
Cool.
There was a lot of meat on the bone, yeah.
Yeah. So of course, awareness definitely matters, right? But let's say if we get to we get more deep, right? I would say especially in terms of US, the market is very brutal, right? It is not going to be impressed by awareness or distribution alone, right? So
Totally, yeah.
yeah, so in that sense, I think apart from awareness, we we need to think about how we can, gain more trust. Let's say institutional trust, trust among founders want to build on top. If you have, institutions that want to, or institutional trust in the ecosystem, and founders who trust the ecosystem and like are willing to kind of give you a few years of their careers, I think that's what matters the most as a metric, in the US, because US is a very different market. Like, unlocking distribution or unlocking awareness is not that difficult as compared to like other non-developed markets. But in US, if you cannot talk to the institutions, you cannot get founders to commit to you, like you're not gonna survive. And US is also not about like massive numbers. It's about working with a few founders. It can be 20 people who just believe in you and like build on top of you, and a handful of institutions. I think if we can do that, it'll be a great success.
But at the same time, yeah, just to build on top of that, I think the US is a beautiful market. I thought about it a little, reflected a bit longer ago, right? And then for a lot of projects, right, it's yeah, like you need to come in and show the A game. And if you want to have a great ecosystem support, such as Ton ecosystem, right, then also as a project as a builder, right, there's a little bit of a higher standard for quality and requirements, right? But what is beautiful about it is that there are 50 different states, right? So what kind of like worked in one, you can with certain degree of assumption, right, and confidence can try to scale it to other states, right? So and if something fails in one, you still have a lot of shots to try and find. I love what you said, right? That unless you, yeah, uh, if you don't fail, then you don't try enough, right? Um, so that's definitely there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, how do you avoid being fooled by spike metrics? Like, what metrics look good but don't actually translate into lasting growth?
User base. Unfortunately, yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
like it's a whole it was supposed to be a holy grail, and then it got like engineered from all the directions. Um, yeah, the stickiness, the retention, right? What is the baseline uh, number of transactions and fees that are generated by the problem that presumably, hopefully, this product is solving, right? For people that are actually willing to spend money on it, and it's not just a like circle loophole for farming.
Right, like actually participating in the ecosystem, not just being a number there.
Exactly right.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, apart from users, I would say another metric that I hate is TVL.
I'm hearing that more and more.
Yeah, it's gamifiable to a large extent.
Because
Right.
let's zoom out, right? Right now, there's a lot of AI agent platforms, blah blah blah. So TVL becomes like, yeah, we've got hundreds of millions locked on a product. How many users do you have? 100. What do you do? We do perp decks. Great. So very clear.
Exactly. So let's talk about measuring ecosystem health, not just marketing performance. In the past, A16 has argued that you want user activity and app building activity to grow together because one without the other can be misleading. Does that match what you guys see?
Ooh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, see, in my opinion, like, of course, I partly agree with that, with that number, right? Where user growth and, is like coupled with, the ecosystem growth or activity growth or revenue growth in general. But but it depends on like what kind of business you are, or like what kind of a product you are, right? So if you are a product who's serving institutions, you just need like one more customer to kind of spike your activity, value, everything, right? Like think of it like SaaS in general, right?
You're
Versus
always
if you're
one big
building.
customer away. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And think of another example where you're building like a game, right? Then it's like, just, more consumer, more retention, more user, like more activity, and more ways to monetize. But it, like, everything in the world comes with a, asterisk, like a terms and condition, right? Uh, so there have been so many examples. Of course, crypto and Web3 in general is flooded with all of them, where you have so many users, so much activity, zero revenue, and the product dies, right? And similar in Web2, right? And I'm not saying that it's correct, it's incorrect. Again, like somebody fails, somebody learned, all of us learn from it. But I wouldn't just go by this as a go-to mantra of, okay, if you scale users, you scale activity, you scale revenue. It's like not that. Uh, it's not like a linear equation. It's more complex than that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think users, right? I couldn't agree more that if we had no business of token launches going on in the projects in our space, right, then nobody would care about this failed projects, right? Look at the websites or businesses in Web2, right? Like you can generate a lot of traffic, aka users, right, and all the metrics. But if you like business bottom line is not adding up, right, you're not generating the revenue, you're not solving the problem, then you just go and get a job, right? And that's it. And that's a normal path for like entrepreneurs and in Web2, and everyone is at peace with it. But in crypto, it becomes a big thing just because of the token launches, right? Um, but definitely, right? Like I was also with Ankit reflecting the other day. We met in the airport, Shaw from Eliza OS, right? And what a ride was it for a guy? And within 12 months, right? Just like out of Solana hackathon to the Eliza OS to get like recognition from A16Z, then getting lawsuit from them, and then spiraling into the nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So in theory, they had a lot of attention, a lot of users. At some point, they were the most starred repo on GitHub, right,
Yeah.
of the month, right? Great metric, right? Did they generate any revenue out of it, as Ankit was saying? Uh, not quickly enough to monetize that wave of attention.
It's super interesting. I mean, if it's just a good idea, it's not good enough. So, you guys have worked with developers and builders all over the world. What would you say is different about converting US developers into builders, active builders?
Or US developers like very involved, right? Like I think US community in general, like crypto community, and that is the essence of crypto community, which is like one unit can be so many different things to the project and contribute in so many different directions, right? Generally, we've seen US developers and US stakeholders being more involved in the project, care more about the project. So they would, if they consider to build on it, they need more content as well. They need to be emotionally triggered, like to the idea of why this blockchain, why this ecosystem as well, right? Um, and but like I have immense respect to hustle muscle in the US market. So um, that works out for aligned founders. Ankit, what do you think?
Yeah, similar to what Clement said. So US in general, the not just entrepreneurs, founders, builders, developers, everyone in US, like the general Web3 community in US is extremely involved. The only thing is that they are not involved in 20 different or 30 different ecosystems, unlike the other countries, right, of the world, right? So In US, it's more about the conviction that you have on something. There's also a reason behind that, because uh, US is the best country in the world in terms of economics and opportunities, right? So the uh, the you know uh, the opportunity cost to pursue Web3 versus pursuing something else is very high in the US, right? I mean, Angela, you know this, right? Much better than us, right? And hence, you have to take like calculated risks. Versus other countries, it's like, if somebody is in crypto or in Web3, they can like, actually overshoot like the economic opportunities that they get in their own country, like a second world or third world country, as compared to what they will get in Web2. But in the US, it's not like that. So all that to say is you need people who are convinced to build in your ecosystem, and they're generally more loyal if they think that you are the go-to place to build. They will build on in that ecosystem.
Such a great point. I like that point a lot. I think it's really important, that loyalty side. Clement, did you want to add something there? Oh, I thought I heard you speaking.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Yeah, I just unmuted myself to say that how much he nailed it. Yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. So if traction is more than awareness, the next question is, why doesn't distribution automatically convert into a real ecosystem? And the contrast I want to explore is distribution creates a spike, but ecosystem depth creates a slope, like retention, throughput, repeatability. So why is distribution not the same as growth?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Right, probably for the same reason why, like, yeah, oceans are not the beaches, right? And it's like they exist, right? But it doesn't mean that it would mean exactly the same thing, right? Um, I love that you asked this question because Tana's ecosystem is one of the best. Has got the potential for one of the best distribution in the space, and I love bringing this up. Is like how much of untapped potential there is, and I think from my perspective, right, the what's there is the relevance, right? Because with a lot of this distribution comes a lot of responsibility and relevance to the masses that you have. If you have a small distribution, you can know everybody. You can craft a message that is relevant to them, and then you can have a feedback loops to like fine tune the message and like whatever you're doing, right? Like project, like government project, or developer activities, right? Um, and when we increase the mass of distribution, it becomes harder to uh, stay relevant. Um, I think for a lot of models, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I've seen a great deal of projects and initiatives that make sense in the space lately that fine tune and create this like pocketed programs and niches for different audiences to engage with, and that creates the 360 integration point into the ecosystems.
Wow, pearls of wisdom from Clement. And to make it more sexy, I would say that, like, if I would have to kind of summarize my whole thinking in one line, it's basically, distribution without destination is worthless, right? And hence it does not convert to growth. So, and I can give an example about it as well. There are a lot of examples in crypto about it, but what I what I'm getting to is, if a chain or an ecosystem gets attention, does a lot of events, does a lot of these, spaces, podcasts, whatever, activities to grab eyeballs, uh, it can still lose, and most of them lose. Why? Because distribution only kind of solves your top of the funnel problems, not the bottom of the funnel, where you make money, right? So like from the high level, from the top of the funnel, the adoption, like durable adoption, comes only if people have a reason to stay, reason to build, or which basically means a reason to make money, right? Right? Because let's be honest, all of us, are trying this hard to make money. There is no, I mean, if somebody says that, no, I'm not here for the money, I'm like, okay, don't talk to me. Uh, yeah. So basically, distribution amplifies what is actually true for that ecosystem. So if people in that ecosystem can make money, the distribution amplifies it, and more people make money, right? If the ecosystem is okay, nothing is happening, it's dying. So more and more people think the same way, and it goes down that path, right? A great example, like a great recent example of this, is Hyperliquid, right? Uh, Great product. People are also losing money, let's be honest, but they're also making money, right? And they nail down the distribution, they nail down the reason for people to stay, and look where it is, right? Without so much, without any big 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 whale supporting them, right? So
Really
I
well said.
think it's also about integration points. Okay, I'll add up, right? So integration points, because if we talk about ecosystems, this is a serious game, right? It's like in any sports, like there's a game there, and all the ecosystem at some point get access to more or less the same resources in terms of financials, to the same resources in terms of people in the markets, and try to onboard more or less, solve more or less the same problem. So then there's a lot of same variables, but a lot of discrepancy on the outcomes, right? So then it should be about the integration points with stakeholders or with the different markets, right? So what we are doing here with Angela is amazing. I love it. Right? There should be more of this. This is a magnet for anyone who would like to build on Ton in the US. It's very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, what does ecosystem depth actually consist of? Like, if you had to define depth in concrete terms, what are its components? What are the leading indicators that depth is forming?
I'll refer to our Wikipedia man, Ankit. Ecosystem depth surprises.
Yeah. I think ecosystem depth uh, in general means that I think it goes back to the same point of, you know, people having a reason to stay and a reason to make money. It all connects back to that, right? Uh, if people in the community, like I'm not just saying, that I'm not just saying that all the founders, not only founders, but also the community members, the people who are, you know, uh, an early part of the community, or even at a later stage, they need a reason to stay, right? And that reason can be, it cannot be same for every ecosystem, right? So to give you an example, right, Solana has become the degen chain, right, the degen ecosystem, right? Everyone there wants to kind of everyone who's a degen worth their salt, does all their things on Solana, right? Hyperliquid has become like the perpetual ecosystem, like perps. Nobody nobody beats Hyperliquid, Hyper EVM, all of that, right? Uh, Ethereum, for an example, it had been like the go-to spot for nerds, right? You see so many great layer twos, layer threes built on top of it, right? So I like to answer your question in one line, the depth of, I mean, before even defining depth for an ecosystem, you need to discover what it actually means, right? What is the depth of your specific ecosystem? Like for Tom, distribution is the biggest depth that nobody else has in the market.
Yeah. I think a consistent depth. I don't know whatever is the formula that we can define maybe on this on this session together, but it definitely should have like old school call me boring, but customer lifetime value metric, right? And customer lifetime, like as a unit of how long this person been part of ecosystem, right? If you take an average like statistics of uh, average community member in town, okay, tell me how long you've been around. Tell me what was the first thing that got you hooked to town, right? And those things would definitely I would include definitely into our equation of defining ecosystem depth. Uh, but what do you think, Angela? What is the better way to define it?
I think you guys defined it really well. I mean, to me, it kind of goes back to a little bit what you guys were talking about before. We can put our stuff out there to this millions of distribution, but if nobody's using and actually participating within your ecosystem or your game or your app or platform, then it doesn't really matter how many people you can reach. So I think you guys explained it pretty well. So I want to know something we think about, and I've been dealing with this a lot because I kind of sit in these roles. A lot of teams kind of bundle BD, growth, partnerships, and ecosystem into one function. And I've seen it broken down by different people or articles or companies that these are distinct specialties with different outcomes. So I'm curious from your experience, what, good and bad on this, should it be grouped together? Should it not? What failure modes happen when people blur these lines, these roles, these activities?
Yeah, yeah. I recently came to the to definition of this for myself, and I think merging it all is very efficient, but then it becomes like a stem cell in your body, right? That in theory it could be anything, and then you just utilize it and build processes out of it. But ultimately, merging like BD department, sales department, marketing departments all in one only works for the people that love paying. You know why? Because it's very painful, and then it even stands for this is like BDSM, business development, sales, and marketing, right? So if you put it all together, it's just uh, just like that. So but have nothing against it. It works for someone. Who am I to judge, right? What we are seeing is that the clear verticals of contribution and ownership more than anything, right? Ownership in any organization. Do people that serve this function, right? How much for ownership do they have to execute it to the best of their knowledge instead of like being told what to do? And if it's there, then it machine spins and it's oil. Okay, that was dramatic. Ankit, give us
Yeah, yeah,
rationale.
yeah. Of course, you were talking from your own personal baggages, and I like it. We need to get personal anecdotes as well. Uh, so, I think having there are pros and cons to both the approaches, right? And in my opinion, both the approaches are good for certain stages of the ecosystem, right? So if you are a very new ecosystem where you have, you know, we are starting to build distribution, I think if all of these merged together makes sense. Uh, and as you grow along, you need to kind of spin it off as a separate entity within your company so that it becomes much more precise and like a well-functioning machine. Uh, uh, the only thing that I would say is still a bit undefined. In general, in terms of like partnerships, BD, ecosystem growth, like there is no let's say set in stone definition of all of it in crypto right now, right?
Oh yeah,
Which is fine.
whose territory where, right? Where Then if you don't segment it a lot, that's a lot of pain, right? If you go to the other extreme, you have a team for everything, then there's a lot of
Yeah.
pockets of gray areas. That's not our responsibility, that's someone else's.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would like to kind of compare this to the uh, to the discipline of product management, right? So again, like in taking an example from Web 2, when like from 2005 uh, till now, like product management in Web 2, even in Web 2 has changed a lot, right? And like even in Web 3, all the ecosystem, BD, all of that is gonna change a lot for better or worse. But yeah, I mean, it's still not completely defined. And I think it's good to keep it that way.
I think so. I think so too. Okay, so I want to, for Ton specifically, we talked about this. You mentioned this. We have something that many ecosystems don't, which is massive distribution potential. But our edge with that only matters if we convert it into durable builder and partner pipelines. So I really want to talk about Not Alone's execution system. We talked about this a lot, Ankit, and you mentioned that you use 4 layers that feed a flywheel. And as I said, I love a good flywheel. Your flywheel is native community, developer conversion, strategic BD and partnerships, and events that drive pipeline, all bringing it back to a stronger community. So let's walk through each layer, starting with that native community. What actually does native community mean to you, and what makes it real?
Yeah, that's right up Clement's alley.
Okay, I was humbly staying quiet, but yeah, I think community, right, in our definition, is a cake, a cake of promises and the ideas that the project or ecosystem communicate, right? That community buys into, right? People can forgive the price fluctuations, but right, the direction that they were and that they bought into, right? As far as the foundation or the ecosystem is sticking to that, they're happy with it, right? Or they can tolerate it. So like the whole community spins on like cascade of assumptions and likes and like personal biases, basically. Um, what makes it great is to create experiences around this common ideas, right? That drive the community forward, right? There's plenty of brilliant ideas that exist exclusively on Ton, given the distribution that we mentioned, right? Uh, Ankit mentioned drivers for other ecosystems, but for Ton specifically, um, the beauty is that only the senior or experienced entrepreneurs and developers could appreciate the beauty of distribution, right? As in Y Combinator, they were saying the first time founders focus on product, second time founders focus on distribution, right? So then it takes a certain degree of a builder to appreciate the beauty of Ton. Um, uh, so then creating the experiences to get that first cluster and communicate these ideas clearly. I think that's what sets the motion, ignites the hearts of the people. That's the first layer. Then second, Ankit, what do you think?
Yeah. Sorry, remind me, what was the second layer? I forgot.
Developers, okay.
Converting developers
Man.
to builders.
The whole loop, the holy grail.
Ah,
What does a good
man.
conversion funnel look like?
Yeah. So developers, founders, builders, I mean, similar to ecosystem BD, partnerships, all of that. This is another area where there is a lot of like, a lot of, I would say, overlap, right? I think the
That's such a careful word that I didn't
developers,
understand. What do you mean by that? What do you mean overlap?
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, overlap in terms of kind of using these phrases, right? Like, developers, builders, entrepreneurs, all of that, right? Um, and to me, it's basically like, see, we have seen the era of like having a lot of developers on various different ecosystems, and none of it converting to like real meat in the ecosystem. Of course, various different reasons for it, but the for me, a good developer slash founder slash entrepreneur is someone who uh, you know of course I don't know if they know to code or not. I don't care about it. If they understand uh, if they understand what to build, if they understand what the community needs, if they understand that they need to fail maybe 10, 20, 100 times before they hit jackpot, I think that's the best developer in my opinion, right? If I don't care about like their technical prowess, all of that. If they just focus and fail and kind of get the feedback from community, build something good, I think that's already they're already a notch higher than all the other developers or builders in the ecosystem. And me and Angela like spoke about it when we were in Denver, right? About what kind of founders or developers are the best ones. And I think anyone who knows and embraces the failures that they make, I think they are the best ones, not the ones who are just like pushing code like a bot, day in and day out. Also because AI, you know, AI is AI. Like I don't need to kind of again give a big talk on AI, but like it will solve. It has already solved like building products easily.
Yeah, concept to build much faster. So, where do you see teams losing developers most often, like dropping off from the project, and how would you prevent that?
I
Like, how
think
do you
the
prevent industries collapsing in different countries, right? It's like economy, right? If they have means to operate, they're ready to keep going forever.
And what kind of support systems have you seen that matter most? Is it the documentation, mentorship, grants, demo days? I know it's a combination of everything, but is there something that matters more?
In my experience, I think the apart from all of this, like of course, grants, money, all of that matters, but uh, the biggest thing that matters, at least for me, is being there for the founders, the builders who are building in your ecosystem, and just being a real support system for them, right? Especially in crypto, because there are you saw that there was another hack in last couple of days, right, where millions got stolen, right? And things like these keep happening. There are a lot of like variables that are out of your control and things go downhill, right? uh, and if as an ecosystem or an ecosystem representative or a community member, if you can't stand shoulder to shoulder or give them a shoulder to cry on, nobody is uh, gonna stay there no matter how much money you throw, right? It's always about making people feel that they belong and they can kind of uh, they feel good about the ecosystem or the people that they're working with or like in the community with. I think that's what matters the most. Of course their money matters, but more than that, the support that they can get is the most important one in my opinion.
I think so too. Even just from like all my dealings, both in Ton and prior to, I think that's really important. Okay, so let's move on. I'm enjoying this conversation, and we're not getting through everything yet. The next layer is strategic BD and high value partnerships, something that's very important to me and something we're working hard on at Ton for the U.S. strategy. So, some partnerships just are logos, right? They're logo slaps and an announcement, and nothing really happens. So, how do you evaluate partnership ROI in ecosystems?
Yeah, you made a good point about just kind of getting logos and doing nothing. And I mean, in my opinion, the holy grail of this is not logos, but the meat behind those logos, right? So let's say you're doing a partnership with, for an example, like um, another DeFi protocol for that ecosystem, right? But does it bring you users? Does it bring you money? Does it bring you engagement in the community in real, right? Uh, if it does not, then yeah, I mean, just like don't paint the picture of saying, oh, like doing the announcement and saying, hey, this is gonna bring us so much great things, because uh, it never does. And the biggest thing uh, about doing these kind of partnerships or thinking about partnerships is not the value that you get out of these partnerships, but what is the other person or the other org on the other side of the table is getting out of this partnership, right? If both the if incentives for both parties are not aligned, nothing happens, right? Uh, for example, somebody comes to town and says, hey, you've got like 1 billion users, how I can extract like
Right.
engagement from those users and like add nothing to ton, right? Ton wouldn't consider that partnership at all.
Right.
And it goes and the vice versa is also true. So I think that's how partnerships, or let's say strategic BD, is to be thought about, at least at a conceptual level.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with all of that. Well said. Okay, the last layer is events that drive pipeline. So, what does pipeline actually mean here? I think what I want to is it developers, founders, integrations? Is it all of it? And how do you actually design an event where the follow-up is engineered? I think that's the most important part of this question, because we all attend so many events and we talk about it all the time. It's like, I wish I just had my AI note taker just following this up for me and blah 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 blah. But that's not enough either. So how do you actually design it where it's follow-up is engineered, there's ROI from the event, they actually convert, and it's not just a good time?
Yeah,
Ooh,
Clemente himself.
ooh, wow. Too many good questions. This is yum. Okay, where do we begin? I think the easiest answer, the silver bullet, is by staying consistent, right? Because predictability in communication is the easiest factor, right, to build your relationship with, right? And then if in events you're being predictable and you deliver experience that keep on excite your target audience, right? They keep on coming back. So like those follow ups and that you start creating like the the motion there, right? It's a snowball effect. Like what we've seen based on many very different models of tracking and brute forcing the follow-ups and ROIs on the events and everything, it's all ends up very sadly. I'm sorry to say. Because the numbers just do not add up, right? Like, how do you, as a ecosystem, justify like big budgets, right? Big budgets on ecosystems, right? That are one-off. You squeeze a lot, you put a lot of pressure on something that is one-off to justify it marketing-wise, unless you like intertwine into the bigger picture, and then it becomes a like an expected format, time and place for the certain segment of your audience to engage with the product or ideas that you're building, right? So then it makes your life very easier and the conversion like essentially higher. Like that's okay. That's without us booking another 1 hour session just on this question.
Nice to keep it concise. Thank you. Ankit, did you want to add to that?
No, Clement is the events guru. I don't want to add anything to it.
Nice. Okay, so now that we discussed the 4 layers, we have to connect the flywheel. So, where do you guys see ecosystems break this loop? And what does it look like when the flywheel is truly working? What do you observe week to week?
Okay, it breaks everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, generally, the uh, all ecosystems generally kind of take a siloed approach, at least in practical execution of creating this flywheel, right? Uh, on paper, of course, all of us think that, okay, we do partnerships, we, build a good community, we attract good founders, builders, developers, do great events, and like everything will work, right? And it does not, because everyone, like all of these activities, start getting siloed, in a bad way. And the way I've seen you know this flywheel getting created is only when all of these four components have a call to action for something next, that people can look into, right? So and people are excited about. If there is uh, you know let's say you did like a great event in New York, right? And then what? Like people forget. There is nothing exciting to follow up. There is nothing exciting to be enthusiastic about, right? If you give 200K grant to a developer or a builder, they start building and like community does not adopt that product, like what's the use of that? Then there is no flywheel happening, right? So all of these uh, like community, developer, events, and BDN partnerships, all of these need to add funnel into each other and like create a perpetual uh, let's say leads feeding engine, which kind of uh, let's say 100 people in the community come, some of them become developers, some of them, let's say, bring some partnerships, and they also help do events, and it kind of connects, and in 6 months there are 1,000 people, more developers, more events, more money to be made, more things to be cared about. I think that's how it should be, but generally it does not go that way, because people say, okay, I've got the best developers, I'm gonna win the race, but it does not go like that.
No, it doesn't typically, does it? So let's talk about how it does go. Let's talk about what it looks like in practice. If you can, either side, tell us about one time you saw a flywheel click and what changed, what worked, or tell us about one time it didn't work and what was missing and what did you learn?
Yeah, if Clement is still there, I know he has an interesting story to talk about from his
Oh,
Definity days.
oh yeah. There's a lot of that, but I was trying to stay quiet so I don't brag all the call. Uh, maybe you start. I can fill in some gaps.
Um, so I think the way, I mean, of course, I wouldn't want to take names here, because I'm going to talk about an example where it did not work.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, uh, you know, a few years back, there was, in an ecosystem we had really great set of developers who had actually built really good products that could have added, like they had like lending, borrowing, they had AI related, like there were builders who had like great AI related products in the ecosystem for trading, all of that, which could have actually brought in a lot of users, and could have resulted in a lot of revenue. But the ecosystem decided to you know not not support them, basically, right? And when I say not support them, is like, they didn't even think about marketing it. They didn't even think about, kind of take like helping them take it to their community members. They didn't even think about how these products can become a long-term success. And then there was like uh, Then there were other things going inside that ecosystem where people inside that ecosystem were trying to extract value from various builders, right? And uh, and it did not work. And now I look at the those founders, those projects that were so eager to come to that ecosystem. They went somewhere else and they're doing, I wouldn't say like they're kicking it out of the door, but they're doing great. They're so happy that they found a new home. So, and unfortunately, in Web3, we have 10 more examples of these kind of instances versus one example where everything worked.
Yeah, so that's the doom and gloom and realistic day-to-day scenario. The unicorn and butterfly scenarios where in ecosystem there are different stakeholders that are for whatever the stars alignment, internal politics alignment, market capitalist alignment, politics alignment, where projects goes through the wave of critical feedback, but essentially support, right? And then all of a sudden, foundation people are excited about it. All of a sudden, there are some market makers and KOLs, and everyone is excited. So that's the moment that when it clicks, right? So that's probably the gold strike that everyone is looking for. Any ecosystem, any good venture firm, right? How to curate that, the lucky strike. Um, I think there were a few uh, successful clicks for Ton even in the past. Like I'm happy to admit, in the past few years, right? And then um, there are um, plenty of mechanics that can still be tested.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're working on them. Okay. Before we close out, I want to just focus on our builders for a sec so that they can get plugged in. If I'm a builder watching, what should I do this week to get involved? Don't jump at once.
Yeah, we're being too polite about who should go first. Okay. Could we refine the question a bit? So
Yeah.
we get deeper insights, you know?
Yes, for sure. So, for all the builders that are watching or tuning in or going to watch later, what is the best way for them to just get active and get, I always say just get started, don't wait. But what should they actually do to get involved?
Oh yeah, get knees dirty into data points on what is the something that is excites you to build, right? And then luckily, Ton is big enough of an ecosystem to look at what people built in the past, what didn't work, what applied. If you see that there is idea good, but you've got a better implementation, mess around it. Where I'm sure there's some SDK to Claude code it real quick and try and spin it off, and maybe call Angela real quick to see if the idea sticks. All right, and then see like that. That all can be done within a week, and then should you with the butter spending more time or not. So all you need is 1 week. You, yes, you builder, founder, developer that you're listening to this and talking to you. Yeah, find Angela, work on your idea for a week, let her know.
Nice. Yes. And then it's all about iteration, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or find us and we'll help you find Angela.
They will track me down. Guys, I just want to thank you so much. This was the exact kind of conversation I wanted, practical and execution driven. If there's one takeaway, it's this. In the US, sustainable growth is built through systems, community, builder, conversion, partnerships, and events that create real pipeline connected into that flywheel. Ankit, Clement, thank you so much for sharing. Clement, I know you're in the airport right now. Safe travels, and thank you for hopping in anyway. Thank you both for sharing, how you think about this and what it looks like in practice. Everybody listening, go follow our speakers and Not Alone. If you're not already, follow Ton US Hub and Ton Blockchain and Ton Community and all of our fabulous channels so you can stay close and stay in touch with what we've got coming. To everybody watching, if you're building and you want to plug into Ton in the US, now is the time. Stay close because we are intentionally building for depth, not just visibility. Guys, thank you again.